let's talk about that a day after. It's hard for me to imagine the Israelis conducting a counterinsurgency strategy with the people when, let's be honest, even on the best days, Israelis are not welcomed in Gaza, even by Gazans who hate Hamas. My question about the day after and the transition, General Petraeus, is what force will come in after the Israelis pull back, presumably towards the Gaza border? There's a lot of talk about an international force that eventually would have Arab participation. Initially, might be a kind of coalition of the willing Scandinavian nations, other nations that are prepared to go in. But they're going to need to have very tough rules of engagement. They're going to need to shoot
Exactly.
people. I've never seen
Exactly.
anything like that work very well. Have you? And if not, how do you get that big idea to work here?
Well, I think it's very, very challenging. And by the way, keep in mind there's one more mission, one more big idea that is needed, and that is how do you keep Hamas from reconstituting? Keep in mind, we learned the hard way. We drove violence down by nearly 90% during the surge. It went down even gradually farther over the next 3.5 years. Al Qaeda in Iraq, which was becoming Islamic State, was destroyed. We pulled our combat forces out. The prime minister took highly sectarian actions, and all of a sudden, the Iraqi security forces take their eyes off the Islamic State, and 2 years later, there's a caliphate, and we have to go back in and help them. So there's, the military mission of destroy, which is what the task given to the Israeli Defense Forces is, says that you have to render the enemy incapable of accomplishing his mission without reconstitution. If there's reconstitution, you're right back into a difficult spot. And again, that was what happened with the Islamic State. So who's going to keep them from reconstituting? It's not just who's going to hand out humanitarian assistance and oversee the restoration of basic services, which, by the way, is going to require tens of thousands of Palestinians who are part of the bureaucracy, if you will, that was directed by Hamas. They're not Hamas members per se, but you're going to need them to help turn the lights back on, get the water going, get reconstruction started, and so forth. I have actually been part of a force that actually did this pretty well. It was nowhere near as challenging a situation as this, but I was the chief of operations for the United Nations force in Haiti, and it was very much a coalition endeavor. In fact, the U.S. forces would not go outside Port-au-Prince and Cap Haitien, so we had to put the coalition forces to live with the people sprinkled all around the portion of the island that is under the control of Haiti. You can do this, but we had quite robust rules of engagement. In fact, we insisted that we could intervene in Haitian on Haitian violence. I don't know that this is a US led force, though. And again, anytime you needed something particular robust, we could use a US quick reaction force. I don't know where you could find a force that could do this against an enemy, remnants of which will still be there and will be trying to reconstitute. Again, Iran is going to try to do everything they can to help Hamas and to a lesser degree Islamic Jihad rebuild themselves and do once again to Gaza what they have done in the past, what they did after they won the election in 2006, and then either pushed or killed the other factions of the Palestinian movement out of that
You
particular Gaza Strip. So who I don't
so
see it, David. I just don't know who could. And you have to have a base force, as you well know. You've covered all of these different conflicts, and generally, it requires the United States to be the foundational piece. So we saw this in Afghanistan. The minute we said we're going to pull out our final 3,500 troops, all the other countries which wanted to stay and would have stayed had we continued had to pull out as well, because without the U.S., you don't have that. It's conceivable there could be some country that could show that capability, but I'm not aware of it. And I'm a reasonably good observer of these different coalition possibilities, having commanded two different coalitions, the largest of which in Afghanistan had many, many dozens of countries from around the world.